if you're not getting something out of this momentum, then that's an example of being on the wrong path.
One of the best decisions I've made in my entire life, honestly. And I'm still trying to build that momentum up, and it's pretty challenging, to be honest.
This is an example of where maybe momentum almost becomes a movement. I think we often underestimate what we can change about ourselves in a year. With momentum, in 12 months, in 365 days, you can completely transform your life.
That's really important. I mean, if you can build up those small wins over time, that's going to help build momentum.
On today's episode of the Leadmore podcast, we talk about creating content, we talk about fitness, and a little bit about AI, but all of those three things in the context of momentum. How do you capture momentum? How do you create it? How do you grow it? So that in whatever pursuit, personal or professional, it feels like you have some tailwind behind you, pushing you forward, that you're stacking these lessons and things in life get a little bit easier. And so I called up my friend Chris, a return guest to the Leadmore podcast, Chris Pieta out of Chicago. He is a photography, videography coach. He does that both through his content, through a course, as well as a community. And Chris has embodied this topic of momentum really well. When he first decided in 2021 to create one video every week that year on YouTube, and really that journey of YouTube completely transformed his professional life. And then in 2024, we both embarked on our own version of a challenge we called Sweat Every Day, which was exercising 30 minutes every single day for 366 days, leap year last year. And Chris and I, in many ways, were accountability buddies on that journey. So we talk about that journey and how that can transform, using momentum to transform you on the personal side, and maybe even take your momentum and make it into a movement. So we talked about that on today's episode of the Leadmore podcast. So without further ado, let's take a listen to Chris Pieta. Back on the Leadmore podcast, my friend Chris Pieta from Chicago. How you doing, Chris?
Doing great. Great to be back here. Round 2, right?
Yeah, second time on the show, but we're going to go a little bit of a different direction. We know about your proclivity to create content. You coach and help photographers and videographers building a great business. But I want to dive into not just the art of creating content, more so the consistency, and of course, my favorite word, the momentum. And because this has showed up in a couple of ways in your life, both professionally and personally. And so I love when I get myself around, even though physically we've never actually met, just virtually, we're internet friends, as I tell my wife, around people who have this consistency, because I feel like that momentum almost rubs off on you and you get to kind of steal some momentum, and it helps you capture your own. And so that's really what I want to talk about today. And so let's go back a few years, because I believe you were working a job that maybe wasn't what you wanted to be doing forever. And you decided to sort of create your own momentum in a side hustle hobby. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I was working just typical corporate America office job for a few years after college. Was not happy with it. Was pretty good with the camera, so I kind of decided to start a photo and video business with that.
Was that self-taught, or did you take a course?
That was all self-taught. Yeah, so
cool.
I took some online course around how to actually use a camera. Then really it was YouTube University that taught me everything. So I'd watch videos, go out and shoot, come back home, edit photos, see what I could do better, watch more videos, go out and shoot. That's how I got pretty good with a camera, just doing it every single day.
So that's momentum itself right there.
Yeah, that alone it had built up momentum. In 2018, I gave myself a challenge of posting on Instagram every single day, some photos. So that kind of really helped me grow quickly. Start working with paying clients in 2019. 2020 is when I went full time with the business. And then what I want to talk about is my YouTube journey starting in 2021. So I learned all of photography and videography from YouTube. So I had a few reasons why I wanted to start a channel. I wanted to, one, give back to this community that gave me so much. So I just wanted to do photography videos, gear review things, the Peter McKinnons of the time that's what they were posting. So that was kind of my idea with it. But I had no idea how to even be on camera, how to record, how to light myself, all of this stuff. So there was a big learning process. So I decided to start my channel January 2021.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we're in kind of still in the pandemic. You're still working your job, or had you quit your job yet?
I quit my job, yeah. So I've been
Okay.
about full time at that point for 6 or so months. Yeah.
And as a photographer, not a coach yet.
Yep. As a photographer.
Cool. Okay. So you created your own moment. You really created your own career through this challenge, first of posting on Instagram every day and committing to, I love the idea of YouTube University. And so then you wanted to give back. Tell us about, was it just like, I'm making a video every week, or like just a mental choice? Or was there some momentum you had in the background that felt like you knew how to do this particular challenge?
Yeah, I didn't really know what this would look like. I just knew I wanted to give YouTube a go because like Casey Neistat in 2015,
Mm.
2016, his like vlog series really inspired me to first pick up a camera. And I thought it was super cool that he can just make a living and inspire people through his platform. And I saw others who were doing this kind of thing. And I thought, okay, I'm pretty good with the camera. I know how to land clients. I know how to take photos. Let me teach other people how to do this. So that's kind of what started the idea of it. So I consumed a ton of content like on how to start a YouTube channel. So my first video I actually recorded, I think it was like October 2020. So a few months before I actually released it. And it just kind of sat on my hard drive because I was like too scared to hit upload because I have never put myself out there on the internet. Like I was like in high school and college, I was pretty shy and quiet and like relatively introverted. So I didn't really, I wasn't like an outgoing guy. So it was scary for me to like actually hop on camera. But everyone I talked to and like all the big YouTubers said like, hey, you just have to focus on volume those first few months. Like if you can post one video a week for a full year and not care about progress at all, and at the end of the year, you're probably going to have like 1,000 subscribers and be monetized. So that was kind of my goal, get monetized year one. So January of 2021, I decided I'm going to do 3 videos a week for these first 3 months so I can quickly learn what works, what doesn't work, get my reps in. Cause like historically, whenever I get my reps in, like I learned through experimentation, repetition, and building like momentum through that. So I started posting videos and it was 3 times a week. And each video I tried to get a little bit better with each video. So like iterate with these videos, build some momentum. And I think I got good like relatively quickly. Like my first videos are me just like sitting like this, monotone, no expressions. But then like over the first few months, like they quickly improved. And by November of that year, I was monetized on YouTube, which was a really big deal for me. And at that time, I don't remember how many videos that was, but it was consistently posting week over week, building that momentum. And that has like shown itself in so many different areas of my life today. And that like year of posting really has been transformative.
That's amazing. So I love that you said I gain momentum through experience and consistency, which that made you do. Like you had to iterate after each video. You had to show up every 7 days. You had to publish every 7 days. Um, do you think it was one of those deals where it was like all of a sudden you felt like you knew what you were doing? Each week you learned a little bit. Maybe you didn't even realize what you were learning until you got to the end of 52 and you looked back. Like at what point did you feel like, dang, this might be working, at least on myself?
Yeah, it's really like looking back and seeing the difference between like week 1 versus like week 52. Because like each week it's like such a small change. You don't really notice it. It's like if you're trying to lose weight and you're looking in the mirror every day, you're not really noticing changes. But if you look at like progress pics, like it's very apparent, like the
Yeah,
transformation you've had. So it's like very similar to that. It's
good
kind of like
analogy.
the analogy I like. So it kind of feels like an overnight success moment, right? Like all of a sudden you at like the end of the year, you've got all this newfound success and it feels like an overnight success, but it was really like those weeks and weeks of constantly putting in the work, trying to get better and better. And it kind of like culminated in that like one moment at the end.
Yeah, I like that because I feel like often the success metrics, so on YouTube, let's call it subscribers, views, are usually a lagging indicator from the growth that you're actually experiencing, right? Like video 10 was better than 1 and 20 better than 10, but like you don't get the success metrics until 40, 50, whatever it might
Hmm.
be. So,
Yeah, those lagging indicators are those are tough to kind of deal with like mentally. So like I had to really focus on the inputs, like what can I control? If I can control this, everyone says like at the end of this year, you're going to have success. So I just like trusted what people told me and
Yeah,
it tended to work.
I love
Listen to
that.
those who came before you.
Yeah. And so I always say like part of capturing momentum is choosing the right path. So you set a very clear path, one video every week for 52 weeks. And then when we're on that path, we want to create some pace, like create some velocity and some momentum. Did it did you do that by like gradually making upgrades? Did you hire a coach? Did you just study at the altar of YouTube? Like how did you kind of create some pace? I'm assuming at some point these videos got easier or that you felt more qualified to be making them.
Yeah, I mean, things got easier over time for sure. It was something different every week. So one week it was, okay, how can I light myself better? How can I improve my audio quality? Okay, let's add some music here. Okay, how can I script the story of this video better? Should I add B-roll? It was like these different things I saw other people doing. I would just try and add one thing at a time in and see what like work was working for me, what wasn't working, and kind of going from there. In terms of like learning from people. I know I invested in Ali Abdal's course on like how to edit
Mm-hmm.
and like that stuff. So that was like one of the investments I made. I didn't work with like a YouTube coach or anything. I probably should have to grown if so I could have grown quicker. Um, but yeah, it was really iterating myself on like what I do like week over week.
Well, let's talk about, I mean, it's been a few years since then, but like you did hit some success today, 80,000 subscribers. I imagine that was that your kind of first bigger platform that you've then been able to translate to other platforms like Instagram, email?
Yeah, YouTube is like the main one. Yeah, and that's where most of the members and like my coaching community come from. My education community, most people come from YouTube, and it's where I feel like I can connect with my audience the best too because it's like long form. So
Yeah,
yeah,
cool. That's great. And the learning obviously hasn't stopped. Do you feel like, so at the end of 21, you're 52 videos in, you got this habit. What did you do with that momentum? Did you just keep going? Did it ever stop or stall out? Like, where are we today?
yeah, it kind of kept going for a very long time. I started off in like the photography, videography niche. So like, here's how to use your camera. Here's the exposure settings. Here's how to style a photo well, right? And then over time, in my own like photo and video business, I really enjoyed the marketing, sales, and like offer creation aspect of what I was doing in my business. So I started talking more about like, hey, you got this camera. This is how you can actually land clients and build a business around this. So my content shifted more towards, hey, let's teach you how to build an actual freelance business, creative business with your camera. And when I shifted that, something interesting happened. My views actually started going down because less people were interested about that kind of thing. But personally, like found that a lot more fulfilling, and no one else was really teaching that on YouTube at the time. Now there's like tons of coaches out there, right? But no one was really teaching that, so I felt like this clear niche that I could fill and kind of like give back to the community that gave me so much in the beginning. So I kept that momentum up for 2021, 2022. At the end of 2022, I had a lot of people asking me to like put out some product on like, hey, you talk about
Mm.
sales and marketing a lot in your videos. Do you have like a course or something like that? So I listened to my audience. I created a course, put that out at the end of 2022. Did a soft launch, launched officially January 2023, and kept up with YouTube for a few more months. And then I took a step back towards the end of 2023 because a coach I was working with recommended I take a step back and focus on the program I had and Instagram. So took that step back, and it was a 9 month break from YouTube, which was pretty significant. But I took that time to really focus on other platforms, really trying to make this like education business the best possible um, education platform for creatives. And I think we've gone really far with that goal. But then when I came back to YouTube like 9 months later, it's been very difficult to regain that momentum. So that's something I'm still working through today. I started back on YouTube towards the end of last year, and I'm still trying to build that momentum up, and it's pretty challenging to be honest.
Yeah, that's an interesting lesson, right? Like they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So like if you're not getting something out of this momentum, then that's an example of being on the wrong path. Now, maybe the success metrics are lagging, but you were at least getting like education, you were getting fulfillment. Like I think pivoting to the business side of photography obviously was a good move for you, not only because you personally enjoyed it more, but the ironic thing here is like doing your Instagram kind of momentum challenge got you out of your corporate job and into photography. And then doing this YouTube momentum challenge kind of shifted from a photographer to a photography coach. So these momentum moments have like kind of shifted your career.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you stop and you kind of lose momentum, it can be hard to get it back.
It's something I do want to talk about here because I think a lot of people struggle with like building that momentum because a lot of people hear like, hey, once you've got momentum, you're in this like flow state, everything like feels good. It's easy to like wake up and start working on your thing because everything's kind of clicking. But getting to that point is really challenging. And I think like stacking those like really small wins, getting the fundamentals down, that's really important. And if you can like build up those small wins over time, that's going to help build momentum.
Yeah. Small wins is a great one. That's one of my momentum makers. I think also kind of remembering why you were doing this, because if we look for the external validation of subscribers or views, sometimes it's just not going to be there. But if you felt like you were learning, you like the challenge. I know we both talk about how like the work works on you, right? Like I didn't know you in the previous version of yourself. I always like to say, hey, I haven't seen you in 6 months. My name's John Meyer. I would love to, introduce myself because I'm always improving.
I love that.
But I'm guessing that I know you shared that like creating content has transformed how you show up in all aspects of your life.
Yeah, it's been super cool. It's one of the best decisions I've made in my entire life, honestly, because it's allowed me to meet so many interesting people that I just wouldn't have met otherwise. It's opened up so many like personal opportunities, business opportunities that just wouldn't have existed if I didn't show up and press record on my camera and just start talking to it. And it's pretty wild to think like I don't know where I would be today. Like people talk about like, hey, what's your 5-year plan? And like 5 years ago, I would not predict that I am where I am today. So like I don't know where I'm going to be in the next 5 years. Like things just change so quickly, and the decisions you make and like momentum builds so fast if you allow it to, and you show up in a way that will, if you allow it into your life. It's a really cool thing.
Well, that's a great segue because I know we've also used the line of like, do it for them, not for you, right? Like you might enjoy making the content, but what you're putting out in the world, even if that person doesn't become a customer, never spends $1 with you, but something you said or something you motivated or inspired or modeled, helped improve their life. Like that's pretty damn cool. And we were just talking about how we both had a moment like that. So let's rewind to like, let's see, fall of 2023, we met each other in a group coaching program. I think we both found that we like had mutual interest in creating content, had mutual interest in exercise and fitness. And we both were working out, I think, pretty consistently. I know for me, I felt like in 23, I'd have these, and really every year prior to that, these ebbs and flows, these sort of seasons where my fitness was really dialed in, and seasons where, probably kind of, I ran once last week, probably didn't eat very well, like some of those moments. And so for me personally, I went into 2024 with the goal, my word for the year was daily. And it was just showing up every day, 30 minutes of exercise every day. And I don't remember who went first, but we both sort of like unknowingly embarked on the same challenge. And let's talk about that, how you created momentum through what we both call like sweat every day.
That challenge has been amazing. Historically, like I've been really into fitness for a long time now, but it's always been like pretty either nothing or pretty extreme. So like either train for an Ironman or don't do anything, or like do like really intense weightlifting or don't do much. So the cool thing about doing a workout every single day is it forced me to kind of scale back the intensity, but increase the consistency, which has really gotten me into even better physical shape than I've ever been in my life. I honestly can say I'm in like the best shape I've ever been, like both from strength wise and like looks wise and like cardio wise. And that's all thanks to like just showing up every single day for the minimum 30 minutes. That's all you have to do, whether it's a like lifting session, running session, even like a walk if you're feeling really exhausted. It doesn't matter. Just show up, move a little bit, because that consistency is going to build momentum. And if you don't work out that day, it's just going to feel weird. And you don't have a choice either. It's like, am I working out today? There's no question. It's just, yes, you are. And it's,
yes, I love that part. It makes me think of like, I think Obama said, I wear a blue suit or a black suit. Like there's no choice. Like I just reduce the amount of choice. And Steve Jobs was famous for having like the same outfit, like the decision fatigue. And so instead of, it's really not a matter of if, it's just a matter of what am I going to do today? I'm going to run. Oh, it's really nice out. I'm going to run. And it's not so nice. I'm going to lift weights or get on the bike so it's just a matter of what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. You don't have to decide if you're going to do it. And to your point, like you got to be mindful of the intensity and maybe you have a recovery day. I know you like to do yoga or whatever it might be. But talk to me about how like this is an example of where maybe momentum almost becomes a movement, because we both executed this by posting a story. I was less concerned about posting a story every day, but most of the days we post a story saying that we worked out. And I don't know about you, but for me, that was one where it wasn't about them. It was definitely about me for my own like box check goal done. But talk about how that momentum did kind of create a movement.
Yeah, it started off for me the same way as you. Like, I just want some accountability. Okay, I'm going to share something on Instagram every day so that if I have to post this, I have to work out, or else I'm going to let my audience down or whatever. And that's how it started, like the accountability. But then over time, like it just became a habit. So like, I don't know, like 90 days in probably, it was just, okay, I'm doing this full year. Let's go. So people started to message me saying like, hey, I've been watching your sweat every day, and I started working out this year because of the things you post. And getting those messages just really reinforced what I was doing and just made me feel really good about sharing this every single day. And like going back to what you said, it's like, it's not about you, it's about sharing your journey to help other people, right? And that's like the best reason to post content, because you're going to help inspire others and get others like on this this thing that you think is important. And to me, like fitness is super important. It helps me stay more energized, more mental clarity, like show up better as like a partner to my wife, like everything, because I like show up for 30 minutes in the gym, and I want other people to experience this as well. And like last year, I think over 100 people messaged me throughout the year saying they began working out because of me posting this. So going into 2025, it's like I don't need that accountability, but I want people to experience what I'm experiencing. And by sharing this journey every day, like we're getting more and more people into better physical shape, which is incredible.
Isn't that pretty cool? Yeah. I mean, I think the analogy I think of is like a dandelion, right? When like a dandelion sort of like goes into its little fluffy mode. I don't even know what that's called. And then it just spreads, right? Because you blow it as a kid and it spreads.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's still the one dandelion, but the impact of those little seedlings that get blown across, other people create their own movement, their own version of their sweat every day and their movement. And maybe they chose 10 minutes, or maybe they chose an hour, or maybe it's only running, but like they decide to, like, that's momentum becoming a movement. And I think that's really cool. Okay. So I love that. And I also loved how, for me, I can say, we never talked about both doing that. And I know we both just started posting, but I do remember feeling like during that last year, like, oh, I saw Chris's post. Like, now I gotta do it. Now I gotta make sure he sees mine, right?
Yeah.
Like there were days on those days where like, oh, you didn't want to do it. Saturday, travel, whatever it might be. Like I knew you were going to post it, and therefore I was going to post it. And that's another one of my rules for momentum, is having an accountability buddy. And like in many ways, you were mine.
Yeah, it's accountability is so important for these kinds of things. And posting stuff on social media is easy, free. Everyone can do it. Everyone's got an account. You just hit post and share your story. I think there's like a lot when those like tough days happen, right? When you're traveling all day, you get home at like 9:30 and you still have to do the workout. That's when it gets hard, but you committed to it, and people are counting on you to share your story.
Yep. I love it. So let's go to, you were telling me about this concept, which made sense as soon as you explained it to me, of like speed running mindset. And so it has roots in video game culture. So tell us what that means to you.
Yeah. So speedrunner mindset is this thing I learned about like last fall. But essentially, like when you're playing video games, in like an open world, the world's gonna load as you walk through the world, right? So if you're walking slowly, exploring, the world's gonna load at your
Think of
pace. If
like
you're like
Zelda,
running
like
through it,
moving through
yeah.
the mountains or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the faster you move, the more of the world will load. It's going to load faster and faster, and it's up to you. So like if you're running through it, the world like opens up to you. So that kind of applies to all areas of life, right? The faster you decide to move and like iterate through things, you're going to learn quicker. You're going to get more opportunities. So like linking this back to the YouTube thing I was talking about, if I committed to posting like 75 videos that first year, or let's say like if I commit to posting a video a week for those first 3 months, I would only have 12 opportunities to learn versus I posted 3 videos every week for those first 3 months. I had 36 different opportunities to learn. So because of that, I was able to iterate a lot faster. I think that's what allowed me to grow quicker because I kind of embraced like this speedrunner mindset, which I didn't even know about back then. But like looking back in hindsight, it just makes perfect sense. So like the faster you move, the more of the world unlocks for you.
And I imagine the thought process would be, even if when you started at 3 a week, if the quality goes down a little bit with that amount of quantity, you're willing to make that trade because you're exposing yourself to more of the repetition, the at bats, and eventually you went back down to 1 a week. But like, I suppose that's a trade you're willing to make, to sacrifice some quality for quantity.
Yeah, exactly. And the quality versus quantity debate is something that I've always struggled with. And I know like you want quality and quantity, and that's the most important thing. Like you have to be good and you need reps in to know like what actually is good.
What
But
is
I
good?
think it was
Yeah,
like last week or 2 weeks ago, I heard Caleb Ralston, like the Gary V's guy and the Hermosi's guy, talking about quality versus quantity. And he was saying, like, you don't know what quality is. You know what quantity is, but quality is the feedback your audience gives you. Your audience is going to tell you what's good quality based on the engagement you get on something and the metrics. Because, like in today's world, a video you film on your iPhone can get a lot more reach than something you film on this professional camera and could lead to a lot more business. But you don't know if that's going to be the thing for you or if for
sure.
you a professional camera is going to be better. So you don't know what quality is until you put out that quantity, which that kind of blew my mind and has stayed with me since.
Yeah, so it's almost like quantity will teach you what quality is, or what your version of quality looks like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The other thought I had, I suppose the pushback to like the speedrunner mindset would be, well, you got to stop to enjoy the roses, stop to smell the roses, right? Like enjoy life, savor it. You can't just run through life.
Hmm.
But I think the counter would be, you'll find the things that you enjoy and love by getting through more of life or exposing yourself to more parts of the world, right? Would that be the response?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Like people say, follow your passion, or people say like, hey, I don't know what my passion is. I'm going to try and find it. You you don't just randomly stumble across it. You have to put yourself in situations that give you the opportunity to find that passion. Because I think a lot of people don't know what they want to do with their lives, and by like sitting at home and scrolling, that's not going to show you something that's magically going to resonate with you. You gotta try new things, experiment as much as possible to figure out, hey, what works for you.
Bingo. I think you nailed it right there, that like sitting at home and scrolling and waiting for life to come to you isn't the recipe. Right? Like getting on that plane and just traveling somewhere, going to that networking event and being wildly uncomfortable, like meeting somebody, asking the girl out, like trying applying for the job, clicking publish, like those are the moments that'll teach you about what you do or don't love in the world by going
Hmm.
out there and getting uncomfortable. One more element of momentum I want to hit on, because I think it connects to both the content YouTube stuff we started with and the fitness. Uh, you've really dove into the deep end on this AI frontier and have really tinkering and using that. What type of, would you say you've captured momentum there, or you're exploring and that will bring you momentum? Where are you on that journey?
Yeah, that's I'm I think in the exploring phase still, there's just I guess it's a mixture of both momentum and exploring because once I'm exploring to see like what tools and what use cases work for me, and then once I find like a really good use case, I'm like, okay, this is awesome and can like 10x or like save me like 10 hours a week. I just jump on that and use that as much as possible. So like for example, helping me like script out newsletters or create better formats for like certain content, like taking this abstract content in my head and making it like a clear like 5-step sequence for like a YouTube video or something. So there's like clear use cases where it really helps build momentum for me. But there's so many different areas AI can be used in, no matter if it's business, personal life, fitness, whatever. Um, so you have to be kind of exploring and doubling down on certain areas. And then like AI in itself is like continuously getting better and better, quicker and quicker. So the AI like curve, it has like huge momentum in itself.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. It's like it's almost hard to capture personal momentum in AI when the momentum is coming at us so much faster, right? Because like it just changes. And I know the theory of like every version of AI you use is the worst one it'll ever be. And so, that's a little hard to feel like you're keeping up in a world that's moving so fast.
But that's a good argument to like why you should be keeping up, because if you're not using this tool right now and like learning where it can fit into your daily life, into your business, when it gets even better, it's going to be even harder to implement into your life. So if you're not like on top of things and you're not like kind of keeping track of everything that's going on, you're going to get left behind when like select few people are using this tool to really accelerate. You're going to be like still tinkering with like the basics. So I think really being in the weeds of this and like knowing what works right now, what isn't working, how it applies to certain areas is really, really important. So a lot of conversations I've been having over the past few months have always ended with like, hey, you got to start tinkering with this new technology because it's changing how the world is so quickly.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. And that's a perfect segue. I don't always have a call to action on the Leadmore podcast, but today we do because Chris and I feel so strongly about these things. We've talked about content over the years. We've committed to 365 of fitness every day, which we did in 24, and now we're doing again in 2025. I know that because today is day 101 as we're recording this here in 2025. And we've both been exploring AI in our own world. So we're actually creating a mastermind around those three topics, sort of a unique Venn diagram. If you are interested in creating content to build your brand or your business, if you are committed to upgrading and leveling up your fitness, and you want to learn AI and don't get left behind, this mastermind is for you. If you care about those three things, it's Chris and I. We do a call every week. It's only 12 people. It's really exciting. And so if you are one of those people, just DM me or Chris the word pro if you want to go pro in those categories, and we'll send you the details about that performance mastermind, it's called. So that was a great segue. Let's end with Chris. What do you think? Where do you think this momentum might take you? As you know, you don't know where it might last, where it may end. But you have a lot of momentum in these different aspects of your life, and maybe what do you hope? Where do you hope it might bring you?
Yeah, right now it's kind of exploring the intersection of like all the different areas I've been passionate about and building in. So the content stuff, the photo and video business I have, the education company, the AI stuff I'm doing. There's like all these like separate kind of paths that have like their own momentum. And I'm trying to see where that all kind of fits in together. So I feel like I'm in this weird spot right now in like professionally of what is the thing that I'm going to be building over the next like 5 or so years, because I've already established these two businesses that kind of like run without having without me having like to do much building, right? I just show up and they work. But then there's so many different opportunities in like the AI space and all of these different spaces. I'm trying to figure out what is the biggest problem I can solve with my skill set and experience that will have the biggest impact on the world, which is a question I've been trying to answer since the start of this year. And it's a very hard question to answer because there's a lot of directions to go. And I feel like I'm at this crossroads where I don't know what the future is going to look like. But I know I have this skill set, this experience. So I'm excited for it. And I'm excited to tackle these problems once I find the right problem here.
That's cool. I like how you said it. You have a couple different paths. Maybe each one has its own degree of momentum. But I think one thing that's exciting is, this photo challenge got you out of your corporate job and becoming an entrepreneur. This video challenge got you from a photography entrepreneur to a photography coach and a different style of entrepreneur. My guess is pushing these different balls forward and capturing momentum is going to take you to somewhere you're not even sure yet. And I think the takeaway here is that with momentum, in 12 months and 365 days, you can completely transform your life. I think we often underestimate what we can change about ourselves in a year, whether it be fitness or business or personal relationships, and momentum is a huge part of that. So thanks for coming on and sharing your story and your lessons. It's always been inspiring to me. So keep it up, and I'll see you in the mastermind.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, my friends, that was my conversation with Chris Pieta. Thanks, Chris, for joining, for coming back on the Leadmore podcast, for sharing how you've used momentum in both personal and professional life. And I love that idea of the speedrunner's mindset. Where in your life could you take that approach? Go explore some new worlds, turn that blurry horizon of that video game and make it a little bit more crystal clear, where you see more things, you try more things, you taste more things, and you might decide where your passion lies or where you want to step back and dive deeper, but you don't know it if you never see it or experience it. It's a speedrunner's mindset. I love that. Lastly, if you heard that part, the call to action, if you want to join, we only have a total of 10 spots in our performance mastermind. If you care about creating content to grow your business, you care about learning AI because you want to keep up, and you also care about keeping your fitness at a high level or getting to a high level or even upgrading past then. If you care about those three things, just comment, direct message me pro. You can go to Instagram.com/John T. Meyer, just say pro, and I will send you those details. We're starting that mastermind officially. Depending on when you're listening to this, it's probably already started, and we might have some spots left over. So check that out. And you can listen to the Leadmore podcast wherever you subscribe to podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/John T. Meyer_. And as always, friends, take care and be well.